The Danes have now decided that nobody under 18 will be getting these vaccines. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's fantastic news for Danish children, to be honest. About 6 weeks ago, the director of their National Health Board was interviewed saying that basically vaccinating children had been a mistake and that if he'd known then what he knows now, he would never have recommended it. And they've now gone ahead and they've said you can only get the vaccine if you see a paediatrician who specifically recommends it for a child who has some underlying health condition, which is, of course, what we've been arguing for all along here. We've never said no child should have it if they have some really serious risk, but their parents have to know that that is in the absence of any long-term safety data, and it's got to be a balance. But to be recommending this for healthy children, or healthy young adults, come to that, you know, you've shown the data about the excess deaths, and I think we're seeing that across the board in the UK. We are seeing excess deaths for 15 to 19-year-olds have been going back since last year, really, and we've had that acknowledged in court.
But, you know, I watched the BBC earlier today. That was my first mistake. The second was sticking with it until they did the COVID feel-good story of the day, which is this new miracle vaccine that not only fixes you for the original COVID, but cures you of the, prevents you getting the Omicron too. So the BBC are still doing, you know, fairy tale stuff.
Yes, and that Moderna, I mean, I tried to look up the data and you can't find much, but on the Moderna's own website from July was when they published and said they were going to put it forward for an application. And it's based on 437 people have received this vaccine, 437, and another 400 and whatever received the standard booster without the Omicron. So it's a mixture of Omicron and Wuhan. And they got better antibodies. Well, great, a month after that booster. But they've only followed them for a month. So we're basing a decision, I mean, our regulators are basing a decision to approve this without any clinical data whatsoever to show that it works.
But what's in the politics of it is that this health secretary goes on TV and he boasts that this is a great victory for the United Kingdom. We're showing we lead with these with the development of these new vaccines, and in fact it's rushing it in and universalizing it as they did whatever it is now, a year and a half ago, that actually led to people dying and people suffering chronic injuries.
I think so. And we, you know, the group that I've been working with of experienced health professionals and scientists, we've written repeatedly, as you know, to the regulators, and they've taken no notice at all. So when we had a new health secretary, we thought, well, we'll send to him again with copies of all the old letters. And I just got a reply about 3 days ago from a flunky in his department, basically saying, oh, thank you very much for your letter. It's wonderful that vaccines are even safer than ever. And I thought there was no justification, no reference for that. And then he proceeded to just list and send us yet again all the data from last year. And he completely missed the point of our letter, which is saying, like the Danish, you need to just go back to the drawing board and say, OK, maybe there was a marginal benefit. I would dispute that, but it was very marginal. And so they had to push out, you know, schooling because there wasn't enough benefit in terms of health. But now, that was before Omicron. So now we're in a situation that 99% of children have had COVID, so why would they need a vaccine at all? And Omicron is very mild, and it's equally very, very mild for children, who were always very mild anyway, so they're even milder. And we know that the vaccines aren't lasting, and they're particularly for children, they're waning even more quickly than they are for adults.
No, but it's extraordinary that these people, starting with the Principal Secretary of State for Health, are still all in 2020 mode, and the BBC are and all the rest of it. Something is changing. The Danes and the Germans and a lot of other people are beginning to figure out that and certainly when they're jabbing 6-month-olds, as they're doing in Joe Biden's America, there's absolutely no science behind that. There's propaganda behind it. That's all.
I think the thing here, which is good, is that parents are obviously using their common sense. So for the 5 to 11s here, still only 11% of them have been vaccinated. It's been available since April. So that means 89% of parents have not chosen this wonderful thing.
And I think that is the science-based decision on that.